Bob, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was nice. I was up in Kansas City covering the games. I had some family up there, so I was able to spend Thanksgiving with them, which is nice because, sometimes, you're working on Thanksgiving. I've spent a lot of Thanksgivings on the road, or a few anyway, and so it was nice to see some family, have a nice big family dinner before I came back for the football game.
That's great, yeah. And then we were all a big family in the press box, right? Yeah, just like always. All right, Bob, I want to ask you, top of the list of things that you think Arkansas basketball might be able to improve upon. And I don't want to look at this negatively because the team's undefeated. They're ranked 10th. They're a lot of fun to watch. But, there are obviously concerns. Three-point shooting, three-point defense, energy in the first half. Like, if I were to ask you, what's top of the list that if you were to ask Eric Musselman, what do you want to fix? What is it? And it doesn't have to be a stat. I mean, it can just be energy in the first half, which does seem to be, maybe a concern going back, not just this year, last year, the year before, too. What would you say?
Yeah, well, I'd say Eric could say a few different things. But, yeah, probably three-point shooting. The three-point defense has kind of been there and not been there. Last night, UCA hit 7 of 10 in the first half and then 2 of 11 in the second half. Some of that, I think, was maybe UCA cooling off, and some of it was Arkansas getting in their face a little bit more. But, you look at the games in Kansas City and then the Penn game and then this game last night, and Arkansas, three-point shooting is in the 20 percentile, I think, or something like that. It's not good. But I do think I don't know if this is a great three-point shooting team, and I don't know if they have to rely on three-pointers to win. I mean, obviously, they rebound pretty well. I think they play pretty good defense to get transition points a lot. They force turnovers. But they're going to need to shoot a higher percentage than they have been to win in the SEC. But, a lot of that, I think, probably comes down to maybe some guys taking better threes and maybe getting a guy like Jackson Robinson, who's a really good three-point shooter, maybe getting him some more minutes. They got him some good minutes last night. I think that was a priority for Eric Musselman, and he'll try to continue to do that. But yeah, I'd say right now, the thing that you kind of look at it and say, wow, that's not very good. It's the three-point shooting of late is way below what you'd expect.
One of my concerns recently, and I'm starting to see, a couple other players begin to rise as far as helping J.D. Notae carry the burden of the scoring. For a while there, maybe the first 6 games or so, J.D. was 25% of Arkansas's points and, dominated in terms of shot taking and I think ball handling too. And, of course, that does go along with the fact that he's playing more minutes than anybody else. But recently, seeing Audice Toney score the way he is, but there, it's not from running plays for Audice. It's from him just doing what he does, hustling, offensive rebounding. Seeing Stanley Umude score a little more the past couple of games, for me, that is possibly the second option, the second main scoring option on this team. I know there's likes, but there's something about Umude and that mid-range J, and I think he'll hit his free throws when he gets there. But do you think Stanley Umude is beginning to show a little more of what they thought they'd get from him?
Yeah, because he had 19 against Penn, 17 last night. Toney got ejected a minute into the second half against Penn for getting into it with the player, kind of getting his hands in his face. Well, I didn't think it was anything, terrible, but I guess the refs thought it was enough to flagrant 2 and eject him. And then Umude, had a big second half filling in for him, finished with 19. Last night he missed a dunk. He missed a couple other shots I thought he should have hit, so he could have scored well over 20. But he's a guy that scored 1,500 points at South Dakota, which I realize South Dakota does not play in the SEC and everything, but he's a guy that I think is going to score more. I think it was important that Devo Davis got going last night, really, for the first time this season. I think he had a couple games with 10 points, but he got 16 points last night, got most of them in transition. He's a guy that's worked real hard his three-point shot. He only hit 2 last year, and he's hit a few more this year, but he's a guy that I could see hitting, a couple three-pointers a game and, getting them in the flow of the offense or whatever. But I think, they definitely need Devo to be more aggressive like he was last night. Talked about his mom and grandmother talk to him and tell him, you need to play, with more joy. And Eric Musselman mentioned that too. That Devo, the way he played, was a guy that kind of fired up Eric last year. So I think we need to see more of that from Devo. And but I do think this is a team with a lot of different guys who can score, a lot of depth. Likes didn't score against Penn, had a rough game, and then last night he came back and had 9 points, but he had 5 assists, which was real good to see. So I think this you're going to see they've got a lot of different options for guys, to score. Connor Vanover's had some big scoring games at times, so. I think they're going to be fine scoring, but I think they'll shoot better from 3. But obviously, that's something they got to get solved.
Mm-hmm. But before we get into a little bit of football, we did get to see 13 Razorbacks on the court yesterday, a little bit more than the normal 8 that we've seen most of this season. Out of some of those reserves, some guys that actually got some decent playing time last night, did any of them jump out to you, or kind of you're excited to see how he progresses throughout the season?
Well, Jackson Robinson, the transfer from Texas A&M, who's from over in Ada, Oklahoma. He was a guy I recruited quite a bit as a high school player, and then he reclassified. He actually left high school a year early, so he's still a pretty young guy. And he's a really good three-point shooter. He hadn't really shown it that much yet, although he knocked down 1 or 2 last night. But he's a guy, I just think he's a talented player who can help him in a lot of ways. He's got real good length. He's 6'6", but I think his wingspan's bigger than that. He's a guy you can see, guarding people on the perimeter pretty well. He could probably get some rebounds with that length. But one thing he does especially well is shoot well from the perimeter. And I think as he gets more playing time, he'll do a better job with that. My guess is when you go in, you're only playing limited minutes, and you're in there to hit threes, you probably press some. I guess what was happening to him. But hopefully he'll get, hopefully for him in Arkansas, he'll get some more minutes and be able to play a little freer, a little more relaxed. Like he's a guy that could definitely help him off the bench. Kamani Johnson, who will be playing his old team here on Saturday when Arkansas Little Rock comes in. He's a guy that's, physical player. He does a good job of getting the free throw line. He didn't knock down his free throws last night. Everybody seemed to have a rough free throw shooting game. I don't know if it's contagious or what, but he's a physical player. Trey Wade, a physical guy from Wichita, a very experienced player. He's not super tall. He's 6'6", but he's thick. He's tough. So I think those are 3 guys that can add to the depth, along with what you've been seeing from Stanley Umude off the bench. And of course, Eric, could have different starting lineups depending on who they're playing. If he wants to go big or smaller, quicker. But those are guys I think I'd like to see more of, to see what they can do.
Mm-hmm. Now that the regular season, the football season is complete, Razorbacks finished 8-4. So many great things that happened. You win all 3 of the rivalry trophies. Out of the 3, which one do you think kind of meant the most, or would be number 1 on the list for the team that they were able to capture this year?
Well, I mean, they broke losing streaks against all those teams. I would think beating A&M would be the biggest one because, one, they've lost 9 straight years to A&M and had not beaten the Aggies since they got in the SEC. And A&M was ranked 7th at the time. I know they're not ranked 7th now, but A&M had the best season out of those 3 teams, 8-4, and could have been 10-2, beat Alabama. The only team that's beaten Alabama so far. Obviously, Georgia. I'm saying about that on Saturday, but I think beating A&M probably meant the most. Although they're all obviously big wins, but I would have to put that A&M one at the top.
Bob, what's your sense on Alabama, Georgia? You think Alabama's got a shot? Keep it close? I think Georgia's going to win like 31-7, something like that. What's your take on this?
Well, yeah, I definitely think Georgia will win. I would think Georgia would win by maybe 14. I'm not even sure what the line is. But, I never would want to totally bet against the Nick Saban team. They just kind of found a way to win. I mean, you say, wow, they probably should have lost to Auburn, could have lost to Arkansas, could have lost to LSU, could have lost to Florida. They've had a lot of close games. They just seem to find a way to win. And one thing about Georgia has not been really in close games this year. They've blown everybody out. I guess outside the Clemson game, that was a close game. That was a defensive, rock fight to open the season. But really, since that Clemson game, they've blown everybody out. So, and of course, we know Georgia has a history of blowing leads, big leads to Alabama. I think they had 14-point lead against them in the national championship game back in 2017 season. Had a 14-point lead, I think, against them in the SEC championship game a couple of years ago. So, and all the pressure's on Georgia. They're number one. I will say this: if Georgia loses, they're still in the playoffs. I think that's probably. So in that regard, the pressure is not a maybe, but they're favored. You know, Kirby Smart wants to beat Nick Saban because they're recruiting against each other for a lot of players, and he wants to beat Saban. I'm sure wants to beat him bad. But I think it'll be a closer game maybe than some people think. I don't think it'll go down to like a field goal or something, but I think Alabama can give them a game. For sure, and I just wouldn't want to bet against Nick Saban. I think Georgia will win, but I think it'll be a competitive game.
Well, for those who are watching, I certainly hope it is, because you don't want to be turning your TV off early and you see, hey, let's see what's happening in the ACC championship game. Bob, appreciate you, man. Thanks so much. It was good to get back with you, and looking forward to talking to you later on the next month or next week.
Okay, you guys take care.
Thanks, Bob.
Next week, next month, it's all the same, really. I mean, we'll talk.
Well, it's already December, so it wouldn't be next month.
Well, it would be next week and next. He's been on the show for 3 years. It's one of these things we can count on.
You're right.
We can count on Bob Holt being with us.
He'll be with us in January.
Hey, you can count on Champion Cycling to have all of the things you need for your kids who need a bike this Christmas season, because bicycles are just so much fun. We even got a free one that we can give away to you. There's 2 free bikes we can give away. If you go to hitthatline.com and click on the free bike link at the top of the page, just put in all of your information, and you might have a chance to win Specialized Alley's road bike or a Specialized 12-inch Rip Rock Kids bike. And that's now through December 19th. Brought to you by Champion Cycling, 5500 Massard Road, Fort Smith.
It's Thanksgiving, and we all know what that means. Football. And nothing goes better with football than turkey and betting. BetOnline has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all sports action this Thanksgiving. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.